Hello traders, welcome to your potential trading opportunity video for Tuesday the 24th of February 2015. I trust that you've all watched the economic calendar update for the day and aware of the fundamental events that are potentially going to move the market today. I've quickly got up here the daily candles of the US dollar index, and as you can see, we have been in a bit of a consolidation recently after a significant rally on the back of the market anticipating an interest rate rise in the US at some point in this year. So the next move could potentially come from tonight and Janet Yellen's speech, as well as some positive US data. We basically have here a flag formation, a bullish flag formation that could potentially break out to the upside, initiating the next move north for the US dollar. If this was to take place as a result of Yellen's speech, we would see further downside to the economies that are struggling, and they would be the Australian dollar, the New Zealand, the CAD, and the euro, and also the yen. Well, let's have a look at the actual charts and we'll see what we can come up with for today. As you can see, I'm on the daily chart here for the New Zealand versus the US, and that resistance level, I'm actually on the weekly chart, I apologise, and you can see that resistance level that we have been monitoring seems to have taken its hold at the Fib 50 level, and we have potentially looking at an engulfing bear candle here if the week price starts to close anywhere from where it is now or lower, which would indicate a long-term bear signal and means that the downtrend was going to continue. If I go to a daily, you'll see that today we have seen a big fall after a consolidation here at the Fib 50, and there's potentially some more downside to come of this trade. And if we draw this uptrend, we are just testing the uptrend line, and I think tonight with the Fed speech, we could see some further strength in the US dollar, and the New Zealand could actually start its fall again. The similar story for the Australian dollar, as you can see here, we have had a bearish day yesterday, and then today we are also carrying on that momentum. I think resistance here will also come into play. If we pull a Fibonacci, we will see that at the 61.8, we are starting to see resistance at a 78.5 cent level, and I think that level there is the near-term high, and we should start to see the market sell off once again should we get a positive result out of Janet Yellen. And if we do enter a trade, it would be a swing trade on a long-term basis, and we'll try and capitalize on some much larger moves as well as scalping on the way down as the market moves through some pretty significant levels. The Great British Pound, we've had a very strong evening yesterday, and we've had a bounce, meaning that the trade that we are in is in a quite comfortable position. And I think that given tonight we have Governor Carney yet to speak, and I think that he will confirm the hawkish views, and we should see the UK Great British Pound start to get the buyers back in, and we could see it make a move towards $1.55 and beyond over the coming weeks. The economy is going quite good. It's just going to come down to if the economy is still performing on all cylinders. There's no reason for them not to raise interest rates in the next 12 to 18 months, and that would make them in the top few economies in the developed world or Western world. So with good reason and the fundamental reason, we did see a bounce here off after a fairly long rally. We had a consolidation and a pullback, and we could start the momentum again to the upside. You could trade the breakout of recent highs. You could wait for the speech and trade dynamically off the back of the words, and you could also just remain in the trade that we were in previously, and we are looking to take profit at two levels on the way through. So we would take profit on another 40 pips higher, and then once again I put in a take profit at $1.55.900. I'll be moving the stop loss up, and those traders that did take up this trading opportunity which I put out, I will be making amendments to that trade to lock in profits and reduce risk from tonight onwards as the price action is starting to move in our favour, and I'm quite comfortable to move the stop loss higher without risk of it getting taken out. If it does get taken out due to a very unusual speech from Governor Carney, well, then we've reduced our risk. So stay tuned for that. The euro is quite interesting. If I put on a daily, we are still within the sideways market. We did see it come off last night due to the conditions going on in Europe with Ukraine and the war there. And likewise, Greece failed to submit its reform list on time, which had minimal impact as well, but it just weighed down on the euro. We are still trading within the range that I identified over the many last trading sessions, and we could see tonight, as I mentioned in the fundamental video, we have the Eurogroup call, and they will discuss Greece's reform list, which they are expected to submit very shortly. And should they accept these reforms and grant Greece the extension that they need for another 4 months, well, then discussions will be taken very positively by the market that we are going to come up with a deal and negotiations aren't going too bad at all. And we could see some support for the euro. Likewise, though, if we are to see the Eurogroup's call reject Greece's proposal for the reforms and say that it's not good enough, then the euro could come under some heavy selling and potentially break out of the lows here, as that's definitely not in the best interest of the Eurozone, and the market will be leaning more towards a Grexit out of the EU, which will definitely weigh heavily on the European market. So stay tuned for that. Also, not long after that, we have Draghi speaking, and President Draghi is also likely to express the current condition of what's been going on and whether there's an outlook for a solution in the near term and what the overall impact is, and just basically paint a picture of the overall progress. So this will impact the euro as well. We could see a breakout of the highs and of the lows. And if I go to a 4-hourly chart, I am going to do a straddle trade. So now that we're getting close to a potential breakout, I am going to do a straddle trade where I'll do a buy stop order at $1.14,600 and I'll do a sell stop order at $1.12,500. And if the market was to break through these levels I've given it some wriggle room for some margin on the back of some news that was come out of the Greece situation, well, then I have some orders there to pick up some positions for the long term. So I will be doing some buy stops and sell stops over that straddle there and looking to pick up the move as the market starts pricing in what it believes to be the highly probable outcome for Greece and the Eurozone. If I was to move on to the CAD, as I mentioned, oil has come under some pressure, and as a result, we are seeing the US dollar rally, overtaking the Canadian dollar, and this downtrend line, which was a bullish flag, so this is a bullish flag formation after a major rally, potentially breaking out to the upside, and the momentum for this could continue. If we were tonight to get a very bullish or hawkish US dollar speech from Janet Yellen, and then likewise not long after a dovish comments from the Bank of Canada's governor, well then, due to the oil prices, well then this would fuel this move and create quite a strong breakout of this flag and present a trading opportunity. So it's definitely an opportunity for you to be keeping an eye on earlier in the early hours of the US session. If we have a look at the US JAP, we can also see that the consolidation is still taking place. However, the bulls are still maintaining the upper hand, and the US dollar versus the yen hawkish view is still in play. We are still in this trade. We do have our stop loss at a lower level, and we will look to lock in some or reduce some risk and potentially lock in some profit once our order gets back up and out of the way. This is a long-term swing trade, which we have been in since last week, and I'll look to manage that with everybody individually over Twitter as the night moves on. Once again, if we do get a bullish Yellen speech, it'll only add to a significant move to confirm that this triangle pattern here is starting to make some sense, and we are looking to get a support being held up at $1.18, and the market will hold above $1.19 and then beyond. So we'll keep an eye on for those ideas. We can also look at the Great British Pound JAP. As you can see, it's been consolidating, but if the pound gets a little bit of support tonight, well then the continuation of the pound versus the yen should continue to break out, and this long-term trend momentum should continue, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see the market actually test 185 at some point in tonight's session, should we get an early positive speech from Governor Carney from the pound, and then followed up with a positive US dollar speech from Yellen. The market could have quite a nice run here on the Great British Pound Yen. If we also have a look at a weak currency and a strong currency, the Great British Pound versus the CAD. Obviously, the Great British Pound is a very strong currency right now. Their economy is going quite well, and the Canadian dollar has come under pressure due to oil. If we do get, once again, a very hawkish speech from Governor Carney, it could add fuel to the fire, and this rally can continue. And likewise, only even further so if we get some dovish comments from the Bank of Canada's governor, basically confirming that they're starting to see the impacts of lower oil prices. So there's a couple of trades. If I have a quick look at oil, just quickly, you'll see that we had a big move north, and we've consolidated at we've seen recent highs at $55 a barrel, and we're now trading below the $50 a barrel here for oil. And should we get a break of this area that has been support on occasion over 4 times now, and it does eventually give way, oil could then potentially move back down into the low 40s and beyond. So we'll keep an eye on that. That definitely does impact the bullish flag of the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. So keep an eye on oil prices. I know the market is heavily focused on oil at the moment. So there's a fair few trading opportunities. I hope you've been able to digest it all. Keep an eye on Twitter, and until tomorrow, trade well.